What's going on, 10 HUD? It is 7 p.m. Pacific time. We are here again. This is a 10 HUD show with a side of whiskey. Hey, guys, you know what? Salute. I don't have a cup. I have a migraine. Yes, I don't have a drink. But I want to say this, though. Today's a great topic. We got two guys right here in this team that has actually worked for the federal government. You guys went to the dark. You guys went to the dark side.
I know that a lot of our audience likes to know what we're currently drinking. So,
yeah.
I'll go first. Today, it's a bottle I brought from Colorado when my wife and I bought it for me, or my wife bought it for me when her and I went to Colorado. It is a decaf liqueur whiskey, coffee like tasting whiskey. It's actually really, really good from Colorado, and I recommend it. So,
yeah, and I'm gonna show this right now. Boom. Yeah. Drink responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we don't want any of you veterans out there getting any bright ideas that we told you to drink. All right.
But like, we know this nonprofit that they drink all the time, so I feel like drinking tea with them. And yeah, no.
Yeah, go tell you.
we know we have our limits. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly it, dude. It's we know our limits. We drink for a little bit on the show, but we call it a day, and we drink responsibly. So that's what we want to tell everyone.
We're at home. We're not driving, and
actually, the last time that we were last Thursday, we were celebrating your birthday. We brought a designated driver, and some of us stayed over at your pad. So
yeah.
Drink responsibly.
It was a good time. Thank you.
It was a very, very good time.
Yeah. Got to sing my little heart off.
But that's the fun of that.
Hey, all right. So today's topic is federal government. Me and Jose have been in the federal government. You worked for the state, right, Pedro?
I did work for the state. Yes.
All right. Not many things changed, right? But the federal government does have their own way of accepting resumes and who they hire. Yeah. And just because you're a veteran doesn't make you entitled to a job. And that's where a lot of people get confused. You do have resources that are, and a lot of veterans think, hey, I served in the military. Now I am entitled to a job, or I should get priority. But you got to think there's thousands of individuals that are veterans that are applying for the same job as you. So it's about the best qualified individual.
You got to let them know that there's a scoring system.
Correct.
When you're getting a federal job.
Correct.
The one thing that the veteran has up on everyone else, if you're a combat vet, if you're a disabled veteran, especially if you're a disabled combat veteran with a high rating, higher than I believe 30%, you're getting 15 points above everyone else already. So if you score high enough on the other things, say that you're at a 95%, then you're already above everyone else. So that will put you at the top of the list. But if you're not scoring high enough on the other categories, then you're asked out.
So let's start from the beginning. Where do we go for federal jobs? USA.
Let me let's do this. How about I ask you guys, because I think this is better so we can actually have it organized. So I'm gonna ask you guys, okay, I just got out of the military, or I'm thinking about getting to the federal, system. That does sound right. But anyways, what is the first thing I need to do?
Log on to USA Jobs, create an account. Okay. And then USA Jobs will give you, create a profile, and USA Jobs will give you a step-by-step of what you need to put. If you've already gone to college, it's going to need your transcripts. If you have a resume, it's going to need your resume. Okay. So things like that. You got to create a profile. First, step one, create a profile. Step two, be patient.
So be what?
Be patient.
Yeah, that's a problem for veterans, right? Yeah. Being patient. So you really have to be patient. I was patient not really with the state of Cali, but okay. So all right. So I make a profile. Now we got a resume, right? That's the second step. Okay. So
wait.
Okay. All right.
We're not done with USA Jobs.
Okay, got it. All right.
So USA Jobs has 3 different screens. I'm trying to log in right now, but it's like taking back my cat card. But All right. So you have the home screen. You have the
Okay.
profile screen. You have the document screen, and then your preference screen. There's 4. Okay. You need to make sure that all the information is filled out on all 4 screens. The first one, your home screen, should be your last one to work on. Okay. But
Interesting.
first, start with your profile. Your profile first asks you what's your name, address, and login preference. So if you're already a federal employee or you're still active duty military, you can actually use your CAT card as a second authenticator. If you're already a federal employee, say you work at the VA as a resident or intern, you're doing internship type work, you can end up using your CAT card to log in as well. The next thing it's going to ask you is your citizenship status. There are veterans that are residents and are not U.S. citizens.
Yeah,
For
that was me at some point.
Yes, some federal jobs require that you are a U.S. citizen, so you have to be clear with that.
Yeah.
And then you have hiring paths. For me, I'm a U.S. citizen, veteran, individual with disabilities because I have a disability rating. I'm a student because within the last 3 years, 36 months, I was a student, so I'm still considered a student.
Wow.
Recent
Okay.
grad, a recent grad is also 36 months. And then federal employee, if you're already a federal employee, then you need to test that. Also, there's if you're a Native American, of course, if you're a Native American, I know there's a lengthy process to prove that, but you should have documentation to prove that. There's also if you served in the Peace Corps, there's a plethora of different special hiring authorities. That's what they call it.
Right.
That fall into that category. And then followed by that, they'll ask you your federal experience. If you have federal experience, they'll ask you where did you work, what was your title, what positions did you held, and all that stuff will help in the search later. Military service, that all veterans should be providing their military service, whether they were active, what type of discharge you got, what type of eval you got at the end, and it asks for your disability. And have you had any VA training? That's one of the questions that they ask, and your military service dates. And then after that, it asks you for all your education. And education, you need to plug in all your degrees. You need to plug in all your certificates, and then put dates on them. They want to know the dates, and this is just for agencies to be able to find you. And then demographics.
It's also, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I believe it's what determines your pay grade. A lot of the times, if you haven't been a federal employee before, it will determine your educational level, the time in service that you've done. It will determine your pay grade because you haven't been in the federal government in that capacity. It will give you a scale. You can apply for GS9 to GS11 positions. That's how
exactly. And that's a very important point that you just brought up, that if from GS, it starts at what, GS1? I've never met a GS1. I've never met a GS1.
Neither have I.
The lowest I've seen is a GS4, and that was an intern.
Yeah, I met a GS5, and they're like assistants.
Yeah. Man, you guys are acting like this is like a CW5 that is really rare to see.
So GS5, usually you're somebody with a high school diploma. All right. Yeah. As a service member, coming out, being a veteran, your starting point usually is around a GS7 with no degree at all. Or even undergrad sometimes is GS7. So don't expect to come in too high. According to OPM, GS11 is the highest grade they can hire you with a degree. Having a doctorate degree, or a graduate degree, your highest grade that you can get hired at as an entry level is a GS11. Now there's a key little component in OPM, and that's the Office of Personnel Management, that specifically states that if you have a specific skill set that is highly needed and is very low, like you can't really find it, Like you're a quantum physics, some kind of, or you work nuclear engineering or something like that.
Some
Those guys can.
specialty.
It has to be a specialized skill that you can start as a GS13, GS12, even GS15, because they're trying to compensate you for the market that's out there.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have questions about GS pay, you need to go to federal gov. I we'll
I
look for
haven't.
it right now and I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
to answer the question that was just asked for one of our viewers is where do I find help to create a federal resume?
we'll talk.
And
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get that.
yeah, but
So
right
I need
now
to know.
a lot of work source centers do that. But we'll
Yeah.
give some of the resources up.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next part that it asks it will ask for your demographics. So you male, female. It asks your ethnicity, race, and disabilities. What disabilities do you have? It's up to you to fill that out. You don't need to fill that out. And then languages that you speak. The VA has actually had. I just saw an advertising for an analyst, customer service that was bilingual. I'm trying to figure out why for Spanish, but maybe for Puerto
Interesting.
Rico or I don't know.
Most likely, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
what's that? Go ahead, Pedro.
No, I was gonna say that I have a lot of friends that joined the Army, Air Force from Puerto Rico. They don't know a zinc. They had to go like some training before they even went to boot camp for language training.
DLPT.
There you go. Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to work over there. The French
Okay.
language program.
Yeah.
I used to work over there for a little while. Organizations that you belong to. So there are specific organizations that you can add on there, like Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, VFW, and then the last one is references. You can put your references in there. I like to hold on to my references and give them upon request, and I'll get to that step later on because that is towards the end of the hiring process.
Okay. Huh.
Okay. The next tab that you'll find is the documents tab, and that's where you upload your documents. The first documents that it's going to ask for is your resume, and then there's a second tab that says other. So you can store up to 5 resumes at a time. I usually have, so there's specific jobs that I like to apply to. So I'm usually applying for analyst position or officer type positions, right? So I have resumes specifically tailored to those type of positions and to the specific agencies that I'm looking for, right? So if I'm looking for the VA, then I'll have a specifically tailored VA resume. And the last resume that I saved, so I saved 4 resumes that are custom tailored, and I'll go over my resume in a little bit. But there's another one that is called it's a USA Jobs built resume, where literally you copy and paste your information from your resume into that, and then they'll ask you like, when did you work, how long did you work there, how much did you make, all the information that you need to have.
And it'll generate a resume.
And it'll generate a resume and it formats it in its particular way. Why do I have it? Because there's certain agencies that want that resume. They don't want your personal tailored resume. They want to have the one that is made by USA Jobs.
But to add, it is a good starting point because you can always extract that particular resume
and tailor it.
This is how you tailor a resume. It's you take that resume from USA Jobs, and then you take the description of the job that you want to apply for, and you custom tailor that resume with specific words from that job description, job title, and the job or the criteria that the job requires, the requirement. So you want to take those two and mesh them together so that it becomes a different resume tailored for that particular job.
Okay, so hold on, guys. So what? Okay, so as far as a generator, you talking about this built in within the site? Because I'm sorry, because I kind of missed that. Okay.
Yes. So the site actually, when you're uploading a resume, it says upload or build a resume. If you upload, then you're just uploading a PDF file. That's one thing. Use PDF, not Word document. Upload your resume in PDF.
Okay.
All right.
Upload all documents in PDF.
In PDF, yes. So if you want to build your resume, that means that you're gonna have to plug in all the information. The great part about it is that it'll save your information. So if you want to add a job or add a bullet, you just go to that section of that job or add, and you can just add that information in. So it's already done. If they're requesting that type of resume, then make sure you just build one. Make sure that the information is up to date for when you request it. The next document request it specifically says document examples DD-214, SF-15, SF-50, OF-306, and transcripts. Those are actually I got a lot of echo coming from somewhere.
I think it's Jose. There's a government laptop now.
It's that GOV laptop.
That's a GS level 0 right there.
GS level 2.
This is what happens when you're entering now.
Yeah.
But it is a government laptop.
Yeah.
So follow that. That it's requesting those specific documents. As a veteran, you should have those documents. The SF-50 you should only have if you were previously employed by the government as a federal employee. As a military service member, you are not considered a federal employee. And and a lot of veterans are like hard-headed about, well, I was a federal employee. I worked for the military. You are not considered a federal employee. Federal employees are civilians that work for the federal government in a GS, WG, YS, and a variety of different codes. But that's how they identify a federal employee.
So you said SF-50, right? Not 15.
50 for federal employees. Notification of personal action. And that specifically is given. Do you get a new SF-50 if you get a promotion? If you get hired, you get a brand new SF-50. If you get money because you got a bonus for your job, you get a brand new SF-50. If you leave a job, you get a brand new SF-50 stating that you left. That's your final SF-50 from that agency. There's many reasons. If they change your title, your job title, you get a brand new SF-50. There's many reasons that you would get service members or federal property. Yeah, that is true. GI.
We get screwed over. Yeah,
but that's about it. That's your federal property.
Yeah.
You want a GI?
Disclaimer.
That, by the way, GI means government
issue.
Yeah, that's what GI means. So that's what they used to call it, as a government issue. So the main documents that I have as a federal employee in USA jobs is, like I said, the my DD-214, SF-15, SF-50, and my transcripts. And what I do is I compile all my unofficial transcripts into one PDF file. So just put them all into, you work your magic in PDF. And then put them all together, and that way when I submit my transcripts, I just submit all my transcripts all in one of the tabs. That's where it asks.
Did you talk about what the SF-15 is?
No. I'll let you know what, Jose, come on, help me out here. SF-15.
Hold on. So just to make sure. So step number 1, again, guys, if you're watching this, step number 1 is make sure you make a profile in USA Jobs. Step number 2 is literally upload your documents. So that means your DD-214, your resume if you have one, and also if you are federal. Okay, let's forget about prior federal government. Then SF-15 will come next.
Yeah, and Pedro got it wrong. He said if you have one, you better have a freaking resume. You need to have a resume.
Believe it or not, bro, there's a lot of people, a lot of
resumes. Yes.
A lot of veterans don't have resumes.
I know. You better have a resume if you're going.
But it is a good starting point. So if you don't have a resume, there's a resume builder component to the USA Jobs that will help you. Just have that information available readily and available so that you can start creating that resume on USA Jobs.
Correct.
Then, so the SF-15 is what grants you points if you have been in the military service. So this is where the military service comes in, whether you serve. So it'll ask you on there if you're a disabled vet, it'll give you more points. If you
Purple Heart.
yeah, Purple Heart will give you more points. The years that you've served in the military will give you some points. So it's called SF15 because the maximum amount of points that you can get is 15 points.
Yeah.
So
good to know.
If you check all those boxes, if you're a disabled veteran, if you have a Purple Heart, or if you check off more boxes on that form, the more points you're going to get. But go ahead, brother.
One that you miss, spouses fall under
yeah.
SF15 as well. So if your spouse, you have a disability of 30% or higher, your spouse can use the SF15 to identify herself as a spouse of a veteran.
So now I'm gonna kind of stick to this SF15 because this is the first time I ever heard about this 15 points thing.
Whoa.
Seriously, because I've never really cared for it. I understand the California trying to get a job there. All
Let me
right,
see if I can pull one up right now. Give me a second.
So the points. So how many points do you get if you're over 30% disabled?
10.
10%. Okay, 10 points.
10 points. Yeah.
Depend on time to shine. Somebody put that. Depend because you mentioned about spouses.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
All right. So there's 10 points. What else can you add points to that? To that SF15.
Let me see if I can play with this form with you, man. Oof.
Jose, we can't hear you. Jose, we can't hear you.
I said my bad. I had muted myself, but I put the link to the PDF. You just copy it so that everyone can see it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's checkbox number 1 is veteran preference based on the just a veteran preference. You're a veteran, you check off that box. So it's different boxes that you can check off, and you can see you just click on the link that we're going to be providing and fill out that information, and I'll tell you, you mail it in, and I'll give you the points that you're going to be.
Yeah. So the other thing that I want to show you guys, you talking about GS level. This is the other one, guys. If you guys are interested.
Yeah, that's the link. They'll give you the pay levels if you have an undergraduate degree and you're military. It'll give you like a GS7 to GS9 level, and the pay scale that you can, because it's not only the pay scale like GS9, but there's also steps to it. So if you've been in, like say that you've been in at a GS9 level for 3 years, and you're moving positions to another government job, you can take that and say, you know what, I've been a GS9 for 3 years. That's step 3. Can I negotiate a step 4, step 5? It's more money before you get to the next GS level.
Okay.
So,
yeah. All right. Let me see if I can. Yes. All right. Let me see if I can show everybody. All right. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Can't believe I'm doing this. All right. So really quick, the first thing that you need to apply to your SF15 is your VA proof letter, and that you can acquire from the VA.gov or eBenefits. You go to letter generation, and then you do verification of service. So this one just talks about the date, whatever, and then it goes down and talks about that I'm a veteran, and then enclosed at the bottom it says standard form 15. This one just says my name, my address, the branch of service, the date of entry, and then it talks about my preference level. So I'm service connected disabled of 10% or more. If you have a Purple Heart, and then you would select the first box there. If you are if you're claiming as a spouse, then you would put it here. If you're a widow, you would put it there. And you would have to provide a letter that says that you are a widow or somebody that is, has that status. And then the next page is just the disclaimer form, and then you got to answer these questions down here. I'm gonna take that off because it has my personal information on there. But that's the SF-15. It's very, very simple. You can generate these letters on your own. It takes a couple minutes to be able to pull this information from the va.gov website or eBenefits website on their letter generator, and just produce a service, it's civil service letter. I think that's what it's
Yeah, it
called.
generates it pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's quick.
quick,
So
yeah.
SF-15, that gives you the points that Jose was talking about. So
Yeah.
it's a 0 to 100 point scale. You got 10 points extra on top of everybody else. On a normal basis, unless you have a Purple Heart, that gives you 15, like Jose was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's fairly simple. If you're 30% or higher, then you qualify for VEOA, Veteran, or VOEA, Veteran Opportunity Employment Act, and then VRA, which is Veteran Recruitment Act. So you get even more preference, and then it also gives you hiring authorities, but you need that SF-15 in your file.
Okay.
The other letter that it talks about is the OPF OPF 306, and that one is the one that just gives your service. What service did you have? So you're pretty much talking about, were you in service? Have you ever been convicted of this? Yada, yada, yada. So they can actually start your public trust or say, hey, he is entitled to public trust, because that's the minimum requirement for about 99% of all federal employment. And that one you should pre-fill out and upload it into the system. That way you can just use it whenever you need. Let me see if I could go back. Where was I? Oh, man.
Yeah. So then after that, you're uploading all your documents, your transcripts, your resume, whether you generate one from USA Jobs. It's all a matter of patience and actually getting down to doing all of these things. And then you're going to put preferences, what categories, what departments you want to apply to, what positions you're looking for.
Travel.
Yeah, if you're looking within the state, if you're looking out of state, if you're willing to travel and things like that. So those are all the preferences that we were talking about, and that should be pretty easy. You should already be kind of gearing towards a position or a department.
So here's the thing. All right, for you, if you are not a federal employee, there's certain categories that don't apply to you. You need to look at the preferences of what are you willing to accept, because, for instance, detail, you are not authorized to do a detail because you're not in the federal service already. So a detail means that you are working for 1 to 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years on a special assignment within an agency. Like in the civilian side, it would be like a contract position, right? Where you're just contracted for a specific niche field to go do it. So you would still be assigned to your primary job, but you're on detail and getting paid on detail.
So I'll give a pretty good example. The VA, when the hurricane out in Puerto Rico happened, and there was a lot of people out of service or in need, the VA contracted people and recruited people through USA Jobs as a detail, and they needed medical workers, they needed admin, they needed logistics, they needed a bunch of people, and they put this on USA Jobs. So that that's kind of that detail. You're already a federal employee, but something happened. You're on special assignment that takes you away from your current position.
Exactly. That's exactly it. There's internships in there. So if you're just looking to do an internship, you're still in school and you need some internship hours, perfect place to apply. You should be applying to the federal government, and you're getting your foot in the door actually with an internship. It's probably the best way to go. I wish I would have done an internship or fellowship through USA Jobs so that I could be positioned as a GS level, because there's internships that don't require you to be a federal employee. you're pretty much working on behalf of the organization you're coming from. So pay attention to that stuff.
I'm gonna give a little tip, and this is probably, well, maybe some federal employees might frown upon it, but very good tip. If you are 100% disabled and you know somebody in the someone in the government, the federal government,
Yeah.
and you want to apply for a certain position that they kind of know about. Like for me, I work in the VA and the research department, psychological research department. And somebody has an MSW, somebody that has a psychology degree and is 100% disabled from the military. It is a direct hire. They don't have to go through USA Jobs. All they have to do is just send the resume to the program manager.
What? Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
But but here's the kicker with that. You have to meet all requirements, okay? Like
yeah, you still
Jose
have to meet
said,
requirements. Yeah,
you
absolutely.
have to meet all the requirements, and there has to be a direct hire authority
Yeah,
available for that position. Um, so there are certain positions like SES later on in federal service that you can't do a direct hire.
yeah.
Those you have to compete. There's certain different positions that are not authorized, but yes, direct hire is definitely the best way to
No,
get in if you
the re-
know
yeah,
somebody.
the reason why I mention it is because everyone's like, "Oh, you have to know somebody that knows somebody to get you in." That's not how the federal government works,
Mm-mm.
because they have to bid out those positions.
Yeah,
But sometimes it does help to know someone that knows someone if you're at 100% disabled and they have availability to direct hire. That's why I mention it, because there
yeah,
are those opportunities that it happens. So
correct. Yeah,
keep
Okay.
an eye out and make friends, network your ass off.
Yeah. And network and what was the other thing? Pick a department. Make sure you have that in your mind. You like pick a department or pick a type of job, because you just can't be doing several different things. I mean, you can, but it'd be
Yeah.
much easier if you're laser focused, right? All right. So going back again, guys, 'cause I know we've been talking a lot. So first thing is first, USA Jobs, make your profile. Second thing is get your resume, right? Upload your resume, upload any other documents, D214, SF15, and if you're disabled veteran. Now, if you're 10% or more, right, counts that, right? Or zero, right? At least 0%. So just keep that in mind.
10%.
10%.
Ten
Okay.
percent is going to give you the points. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
if you're just a vet, it's because you can still get 5 points above of everybody if you're just a vet, and not just to say just a, but if you're a veteran and haven't filed for disability and you still want to get that SF15, you can still get 5 points, man. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're at 95, a
That puts
95
you at
point,
100.
yeah, that puts you at 100, and it puts you right on that scale so that
Yeah.
they
Right.
could see your resume. So
Okay. All right. So now that we got that going on, we set that up, resume in. What's next?
So going back to the homepage, yeah, patience.
Patience. I love that.
So going back to the homepage, what you need to start doing is you need to do a search. Once
Okay.
you do a search for a job, so type it in there, whatever you're thinking of doing. You know, if you want to be a math statistician or a freaking, you name it, it's out there. Trust me, the federal government has everything you can think of. Janitorial service,
yeah,
uh, whatever, the trash guy, I don't know. You name it, they have it. Doctors, physicians, psychologists, any type of job you can think of, type it up there. You might have to, what I like to use is onenet.org. Okay. What that
Mhm.
website does is that you can type in the type of job that you're looking for, and it'll give you similar jobs. So it helps you with your search. And this is not just for USA Jobs, but in USA Jobs, now you can search different names for the same thing that you're looking for, right?
yeah.
Because like janitorial services is actually sometimes facility maintenance, right? Or facility some
Or no, a
upkeep
lot of
or
the times they call it
hospitality.
engineer,
Yeah. Yes. There's
janitorial engineer, or something like that.
yes, something like that. But you got to know these terms because they might want to sell it to you as something higher, and you need to go shoot for that something higher as well.
Mm.
So go to onenet.org and play around with that website. It's got tons of information, but I don't have time today to talk about that one. It's too much information. So do your search and then save your searches, and then set those searches for once a week. If you're really desperate and want to really get in, set it for once a day and you'll get notifications. The problem with that is that you'll get the same jobs over and over daily. But this is the caution part right here. If you set it to once a week, the VA is tricky and other agencies are very tricky. If they want to hire a specific person and they have somebody in mind, they'll let that person know, hey, this job's going up right now. And they'll close it within 2 days. They have to advertise it for 48 hours.
Yeah, for 48 hours. That's it.
So sometimes having your settings for 1 week, you might miss out on the opportunity to apply for a job that you might be very interested in.
Mm.
So just
A lot
keep
of
that in
agencies
mind.
do the same thing. Yeah.
For me, I'm fully employed with the federal government. I'm not worried about whether I'm going to lose my job. So I keep it at once a week, where I'm not going to get bombarded with emails every single day. But I do have 8 different categories that I search under. Just to name a few here, let me open this up. Project manager once a week, analyst, program manager, administrative officer, training instructor, management and program analyst, and then specific ones to some federal agencies that I'm interested in. And just so I can see what they got available. Most of the time they don't, so I'm not even worried about those. Those are set like once a month, I think. Yeah, monthly.
Yeah, but
So
those are all under your preference page, so that way, or your homepage. That way your
homepage.
homepage. So that
There's
way,
two. Yeah, there's 2 tabs in the homepage that you need to, or 3 tabs. Sorry. So you have applications, so you can see the applications you've gone through. Save jobs, and then save searches.
yeah, save
Uh,
search.
yeah. So just save searches is where you're gonna see all the job searches that you've saved.
I'm gonna
Um,
we're gonna I want to shift a little bit because there's also on USA Jobs there's a contractor component, so you can actually apply for some contracting positions
mhm,
on USA Jobs. But a lot of the time, because I've been a contractor overseas,
mhm,
and a lot of the times you actually have to go on those particular contracting websites.
yes.
Like I used to work for a company called Constellus that owns Academy, Triple Canopy, um, and some other 2 other companies that do private contracting out through the government, the federal government, DOD, DOJ, and you're doing work overseas. So you want to go on their websites and look for that. But that it might be
Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. Yeah.
yeah, that might be a little bit of a harder or more extensive search than just going on USA Jobs because
Yeah.
you actually have to go on their particular websites, look for the type of job, extract the information from that type of job, and tailor that resume for that particular job.
Yeah.
But if you want to get into contracting overseas, that's like he was mentioning, like Academy, Triple Canopy, or just look up Constellus, and
Mhm.
you'll find contracting jobs there.
Okay. All
I
right.
want
So
to shift to the resume if y'all ready for that mess.
Yeah,
I
we're
think
good.
honestly, I think that resume should be done. We should do another talk about the resume. I don't know what you guys think
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it'll take about 15 minutes, maybe minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a
15,
lot of
20 minutes,
information that that you
Just
put
yeah.
in.
Yeah,
just the basics for a
Yeah.
resume that you have to remember is you need to disclose your full name. You need to disclose your full address. You need to disclose the contact, your phone number that you want to be reached at. If you have a home and a cell phone, I would recommend putting both of them on there. And
Okay.
then the big thing is what your objective is, right? Because that's the first thing that anybody's going to read on a resume, objective or
no,
professional
actually,
summary.
I personally think that the biggest is a good email address.
Hmm.
Don't say fucking hung like a horse dot or fucking
Yeah,
at
hot
Gmail.
Gmail.
chicks,
Yeah.
bro. When I gotta tell you a funny story. When I used to work as a career coach, I worked as a career coach for a nonprofit when I first got out of the military, and I had I used to work with this program called Winters, and it was for females that wanted to go into women in non-traditional employment roles. That's what
Mm.
Winters services, I think it was Winters. Anyways, so it pretty much we put all these women that wanted to go into construction and like electrician jobs and all this stuff. And
Right.
I swear, she sends me her resume, and I look at her email and her resume, and it says Big Tetas something, and I was like, oh my god! I said, no, I can't send that to an employer. Come on,
Yeah.
like that's the stuff that Jose's talking about. Watch the emails.
Yeah, watch your email. Create a new one. They're free, man. It's
Yeah.
your first name dot last name, and if it already exists with some particular number at Gmail or Yahoo or whatever.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. It
All
don't
right.
matter.
So I want to touch two other things, right? So the other thing is, all right. So if you go to USA Jobs and you go to the tab where it says explore opportunities, right?
Mhm.
It gives you like different categories like mathematics, social science, sciences, engineering.
Where you at?
Now, what are your thoughts on those? Because those are the ones that I've been seeing, and I'm like, these positions fill up. They are in high demand.
So the reason that they put those is because of that, because
Yeah.
they're actually they're hard to fill. It's not that they're in very high demand. These are positions that most people don't think about applying with the federal government. Uh,
Okay.
the biggest problem in the VA, and you know this, Jose, is getting physicians. They struggle so freaking hard. Most of the physicians that work at the VA, and we've talked about this in other discussions, is that they work part time at the VA and then they have their own private practice because the VA doesn't compensate them as much. I mean, it's steady income, but it's
Yeah.
not as much as they would make as a private doctor.
I,
But
you know what? It's a good point because a lot of, and if there's any physicians that will listen to this or are currently listening to this, a lot of the MDs that I work with, they're at like GS level 13, 14, or 15, capped out at 15, and they're still doing other postdoctoral or research, or they're teaching at USC, UCLA. They have part-time jobs to supplement that income. So
Yeah.
so you work with psychologists, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So psychologists do fit into the GS positions. Uh, Let me see if I could find it. Usually the physicians, like medical physicians, like
yeah,
surgeons and all that,
surgeons.
fall under what is categorized as BC, BSC, which is a higher pay band. So like an oncologist at the VA makes about 350 grand a year,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
which is not what a GS anything makes.
No.
Even if you went up to GS 15, after GS 15, there's SES, Executive Series,
Hmm.
Yeah.
1 through 5, and even in LA, an Executive Series or a director of a hospital here in Long Beach wouldn't make more than 170,000. I think that's the cap for
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Um, that's the website we were talking about earlier. Let me see. Talk about something while I find this.
Well, the GS 15, like step 10, they can't make more than 150
Yeah,
according
Oh,
to
really?
the pay scale. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's with
GS
a 1%
15.
annual increase. Yeah, GS 15, step 10.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that
they get into the executive
and that's only if they have been through executive
training.
school.
Okay.
Their executive school.
All right. I'm gonna shift fire a little bit. So the other question I have is, okay, now there's a lot of people have been asking me this because I have no idea how this thing works yet, but learning a lot from you guys is open and closing dates. So let's say if it's a closing date, it's on June 2021. That means that after that date, June 1st, 2021, is that when they're going to start looking into hiring for that position, or how that works?
No.
No.
Okay.
So the timelines for a federal hire can be up to a year and a half, depends on what job you're looking for. There
Okay.
are some that are very quick, or if you're going lateral, it usually is a little bit faster, but it can still take. It's from the last agency that I went to the next, it took 6 months for me to be brought on, just so
Yeah.
you get an idea. And that's because I'm already a federal employee going to another agency. Okay. Um, so once the job closes, they that's when they tally up all the points that a person has based on the reviews, and then they take the top 10% of those. This is on the self answered. So when you go in there and you find the job you like, you click it. Then it tells you what documents you want to upload. You click the documents you want to upload. You upload those documents. You fill out the application. It asks you, how good are you at managing a budget? And then it'll say, I've I have no experience. I've studied about it but never done it. I've done it as a team member. I've done it with minimal supervision. I'm an expert, and people come and ask me about it. Those are the questions or the answers you're gonna get. You pick one, right?
Yeah.
Expert, of course, is gonna get the highest points. If you have no knowledge about it, you're gonna get 0 points for that question.
And don't
Right.
lie.
And don't lie, because if they will call you out on it, they will ask you those questions and tell you to
On the
answer.
interview.
Yeah, during the interview, they'll ask you, tell us about a time when you manage a budget. And then you're, I don't know, I've never done it. Then you just lied. And it actually has a disclaimer that you can be disqualified from any federal employment for up to 5 years and even be fined. So be careful how you answer these questions. If you barely know about it, just answer it
Yeah,
how
honest.
you be
Just be
honest.
honest. Yeah.
But you are
Okay.
losing points. You are losing
Mhm.
points. At the top 10% will be moved on to selection, and then you'll say you are on the top. You'll get an email saying, maybe like in 3-4 days, sometimes 2 weeks, saying you are on the top rated selectees, right? Or you are one of the best candidates, or whatever. You'll get an email and it'll change the status on USA Jobs.
Okay.
After that, if you move on to that category, then that means they have forwarded your resume to the hiring manager. The hiring manager then reviews the top 10% and then eliminates a bunch of people from there.
Yeah.
Whoever they want to call, they'll call. If you're a veteran, then you have preference and you got extra points. Even if you answer a few no's, then that helps you out. This is where this stuff starts helping you out.
Hmm.
Then you get an email or from somebody from their department, whoever their HR department. We want to schedule you in for an interview. I just did an application with OIG. They wanted me to do a video interview, just recording. So I had to go online and I had to record myself answering some questions that they ask you. And they give you time to think about it.
I've done that, yeah.
When you're in an interview, take your time. They ask
Yeah.
you a question, you don't understand it, or you didn't catch something, ask them to repeat it. I'm sorry, I didn't really understand what the question was. Can you please repeat it? I have a notepad with me, and I'll write something that, hey, excuse me, I'm just going to take a few notes just to make sure that I correlate my thoughts, and then tell them what you've done before that correlates to what they're asking you to do
Yeah.
in the future, right?
Mhm.
That's the big thing, and that goes into interview skills, of course, right? Practice that. Practice your stories that are on your resume.
Yeah.
If you have bullets in your resume, you should have a story for every single bullet. Okay. Um, Real
Okay.
quick, with resumes, they cannot be longer than 5 pages for federal jobs.
Yeah.
They cannot be longer than 5. That's the new OPM rule. Do not make your resume longer than 5 pages. They will not read anything below 5 pages. All right.
Above
So
5 pages.
yeah, more than 5 pages. You cannot have more than 5. They won't read anything. The 6 page and on is trash to them. Okay. But correlate your thoughts. Give them the best answer.
Practice, practice, practice.
And you know what I always ask? The same question I asked in the corporate sector. How fast are you gonna make? Are you thinking about making a decision for this? Oh, we're trying to make a decision within 2 weeks. And guess what? I've got my notification within 2 weeks. Hey, you weren't selected. Or I'll get my notification within 2 weeks. Hey, you've been selected to hire. And then at that point, they'll ask you for a bunch more documents, and that's when I give them my references. Because at that time, they're going to start calling. They will call 100% of your references.
Yeah, yes, they
100%.
will. Yeah.
Every single reference you put in there better be prepared to answer all the questions. How do you know them? What did they do with you? Where did they go? How are they working with other people? Yada yada yada. Are their integrity, is it great? Have you ever caught him in a lie? Has he ever said this? Has it or her, whatever it is? They will contact your references 100%. There's no
Yeah.
doubt that they're going to contact them. So be ready to give your references. I always have a sheet of my references, who I'm going to give, and I'll send them that page. Boom. It's already done. It's on a PDF, and it has their name and contact. They need addresses as well. Why? Because those references might be used also for your investigation.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of jobs have clearance requirements. Some of them are just public trust. They're going to ask some questions about who you are, all right, your character, period. But that process can take up to 6 months sometimes, from the time that they give you notification that you've been hired to the time that you get the job, that you walk into the job. And you might not have a clearance when you get the job. You might still be as a interim secret clearance or interim. They won't do
That's why I
interim.
mentioned right at the beginning is you have to be patient. Just follow the procedures, follow the process. But in the entire thing, man, just be patient.
I'll tell you what.
Absolutely.
It could take some time.
Yeah, what I tell everybody is like, look, you need to have a job while you're searching for a federal job. You need to be fully employed somewhere
Yeah,
while you search for a federal
no
job, or
need to
you're gonna starve.
Th-
You're
them
gonna
you do,
starve.
them you don't.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. This might not be. This should be your plan A, but have a plan B, C, and D, and already implementing those plans. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but
So,
Uh,
I think the last thing that I want to cover about the process is don't lie, because if you lie, they'll catch you in your lie, and you're gonna regret it. You're gonna
yeah,
lose a great opportunity. Oh, and second to last thing, when you get offered a GS position, all right, if it's a GS 9, 11, 12, remember, you can always fight for 11. The
mhm.
11 is the max, but you have to prove what you have. They're always going to offer you the lowest grade in that series. Okay. So if it's a 7, 9, 11, 12, they're going to shoot you with a 7. That doesn't mean you have to take a 7. You can say, hey, look, I have a freaking master's degree. I qualify for a GS 11, and start off there. And they'll rebuttal it. No, well, here's my transcripts. Here's this, here's that. You need to fight for that. Read the OPM, read the OPM instructions. OPM, that you put it up there. Also your federal pay here. Let me throw that one up there. This
but
one,
yeah,
this
I mean, you can always
federal
negotiate
pay,
your pay grade, but
that website right there will give you the pay scale. You know how much you're gonna be making. Every region, and for you guys watching us out in New York, they have their own pay. In Louisiana, it's totally different. In Florida, every county literally has their own different pay. For us, we fall here. For me in Orange County, you're up there in San Bernardino area, right? In
in
Rancho
LA,
and LA, it's all. It might be a little bit different, but for the most part, it's all this. It's this, the same. The other thing that you can throw at them is like, look, as a civilian employee, this is how much I'm making. Can you at least match it? And they can try to match it. Maybe they might not give you a whole grade, but they'll give you a step within that grade.
there's
That
10
is,
steps to each grade, so you be all
Each
right.
grade, yeah. But
Yeah.
it takes 20 years to get
it's-
through all 10 steps, from step 1 all the way to 10. I
Yeah.
recommend that you're ambitious and you're digging for a higher grade, not a step promotion.
Oh yeah,
uh,
education
Once you
that
get
helps a
in,
lot.
yeah.
but coming in, you should try to fight for at least a step 2, 3, 4, whatever, or a grade.
Yeah.
Fight for a grade first, then fight for a step. And if they can't give you that, you know, you might
Yeah.
have to play dirty and say, you know what, I don't know if I could take this job. And if they really want you, if they don't, goodbye job.
Yeah.
You'd
Goodbye
be like
job.
Xerxes, I am kind. You know, just give me a good offer. Get on your
Well,
knees.
I am a kind God.
I am a kind God.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, you know what? This is some valuable information. You know, I did a lot learn from you guys.
It's
You
a
know,
lot of
same thing.
information.
It's a lot of information, and I'm pretty sure
So
there's
much more, man.
there's more steps, more things, especially if you're very ambitious. You know, to get yourself, you know, in a good, well-paying job in the federal government.
Yeah.
Next time we're definitely going to discuss about, you know, putting the resume and how to tailor it, and kind of having more of like a focus, like what do you want to do when you go into the, you know,
Yeah.
when you start applying for a federal job, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, some people that I've heard, they started as a housekeeping and they move up their way up, you know, just because they
Yeah.
needed to get a job right away. Well, there's so many options. So but I think, you know, right now it's important to just kind
Know
of
the
like take it
process.
increments right now, so because there's a lot of information. But
It's a
anyways,
lot.
guys, I want to say thank you so much for those that have been watching and commenting. Thank you so much for, you know, the more you comment with everything that we post, you know, our video, that means that we'll get more people watching our stuff, right? So, and I really appreciate it. So stay tuned to next Thursday, again, 7 p.m. Pacific time here, you know, on StreamYard, Facebook, and YouTube. And remember,
Subscribe.
subscribe. All right, guys, this is 10 Hud with a side of whiskey. Take care and good night.